Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unique Not Different with me, Shamla. Today, I have Mr. Lakhan Seepersad, who is Manager of Rehabilitation at the Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association. And he is here to talk about access to assistive technology in Trinidad and Tobago. And also, we celebrate Blind Awareness Month here in the Caribbean. So, good morning, Mr. Seepersad. How are you doing?
Good morning, Shamla. I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having us again on your show.
It's always a pleasure. So let's start with Blind Awareness Month before we go into access to assistive technology. Throughout the month, how has the Blind Welfare Association celebrated or created awareness for the blind? You know?
Well, quickly, Shamla, the work for the blind started 110 years ago on the 18th of May, 1914. So this month, we were celebrating 110 years of work for the blind within the Caribbean region, and by extension, celebrating 110 years of the Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association's existence within Trinidad and Tobago. We started off the month by having our interfaith service in the first week of May. Then the second week we had a bingo game for our employees, and the third week, which was our main featured event, this weekend going by, we had a national goalball competition, or I should say, an international goalball competition, where we had teams from the USA and Barbados play against a local club, the Rolling Thunders Goalball Club,
Mm-hmm.
um, at the Point 14 Indoor Arena. This Saturday went there, and this Friday coming up, we are going to have a awareness walk throughout the community, or the what you call that, the region of Rio Claro. This Friday coming up, it starts at 10 a.m. In the Rio Claro car park.
Awesome. So it's like a pack month that you all have. So in
Yes,
terms
it
of
is.
technology, let's go into technology, right? Because that is like the foundation, part of the foundation in terms of how persons elevate and progress, right? In
Right.
terms of being mainstream. So what type of technology are there available in Trinidad and Tobago for the blind and visually impaired?
Well, technology can be broken up into two levels, Shamla. They are either low tech or high tech technology. And in the early days, we would have had low tech technology, for example, things like slate and styluses, braille machines, and um, probably other tactile drawings and things like that. High tech technology now involves screen reading software, smart devices, um, braille embossers, MP3 players, things like that. And we at the Blind Welfare Association has been incorporating these technologies into our services to allow persons who are blind and visually impaired to be able to understand and use these modern day technology like screen reading softwares, using braille displays, navigating the space around them using apps and technology, or apps and software, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Very recently, discussions have started in terms of the states and other parts of the world is using something called a infrared cane, white cane for mobility use. So there's a number of things in the field of technology for the blind and visually impaired. Um, but it all comes down to access to information.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to the previous interview there with the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, and they were talking about you can find all their information on their website. But it boils back down to, is your website accessible for all? Is it accessible for persons who are blind and visually impaired, persons who are low vision? Could they go on, read your website, read the fonts on your website? Is it accessible enough for the screen reading software to go in and interact with the different images and photos and so on? And that is what the discussion is about, access in our field to information.
In terms of challenges, right? What type of challenges are there in terms of, and I think you just mentioned one, right? In terms of accessing technology for persons who are blind and visually impaired?
You see, Shamla, we live in a visual world, and a lot of people do things visually. So they have a lot of graphics, they have a lot of pictures, they have a lot of what we call images, and there's something called overlay. So, for example, if you go on Facebook, you would see a house that represents the home button. And when we use our screen reading software, we will hear home, HOME. But the word HOME is not written by the house symbol. And that is what we are lacking in a number of our websites, our applications, and our access to digital information to make the interaction or the experience using screen reading software a smooth and easy one. Now, going back to the last interview, they talk about Export TT. I think do some funding with software development, and that might be a very good way to have local people look at how to design and develop softwares for persons who are blind and visually impaired, and export that information and that technology to the wider world. Because even North America and other parts of the world, they themselves are not getting it right all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of like schooling and employment institutions such as those, right? Are they even aware that there are technology available that can be integrated to support mainstreaming students and persons who are employable, into these institutions or organizations and so on?
I think organizations, maybe institutions of education or maybe employment institutions, they are they know of in technology that has screen reading software, and they know of things that are on their devices and the different systems, because every single iPhone comes with voiceover. I think right now all Android and Samsung products comes with some kind of talkback or some kind of voice feedback. Even the televisions now come with some kind of talkback. But the question should be asked, do they know what is the purpose of it? Do they know how it can be used within their institution to further assist and promote employment or education for persons who are blind and visually impaired? And I think that is where the gap is. They know it exists, but do they know how it works? No, they don't. And sometimes simply just asking a question may help, because despite all the awareness we do, Shamla, and you would know in our community, it still doesn't reach the people who we need it to reach because it doesn't affect them directly. We have 1.3 billion people in the world with a disability now, according to the World Health Organization. And yet still, we are the single largest minority group in the organization, in the world. But yet still, we are not seen or heard or recognized.
I agree with you on that. In terms of, let's say, okay, so persons would firstly say budget, it's not within their budget, right? And everything is a costly. How, what advice would you give in terms of, starting to integrate at, let's say, with the resources they currently have?
You see, they first have to understand, when you have to retrofit something, it's always more expensive. If you start with the design build and take into consideration persons with disabilities up front, take into consideration persons who are blind and visually impaired in designing of your website and your programs, then there's the cost factor is very minimal. In some cases, even non-existent, because it's already existing there. It's just a matter of implementing it. I'll give an example. We have some financial institutions, I'm not going to call any names or anything. They recently would have redone their banking systems and did not consider the fact that persons who are blind and visually impaired may not, or is not possible to use their new sites. And when we approach them, they tell us they have to go back to the vendor. Now, it's going to cost them a fortune now to redesign and retrofit that system now. If they had considered that as a universal design for persons who are low vision, persons who are probably dyslexic, persons who are blind, to go in there and design it one time, it would have never been a cost factor in the first place.
Yeah. How can persons reach out to the Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association? It's one, to collaborate. Two, in order to find out more information. And three, to get support.
The easiest one is our WhatsApp number, 395-3086. You can WhatsApp us there and we reach back out to you. We are also on Facebook, Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association 1914. You could get us through our email. It's the acronym TTBWA 1914@gmail.com. Or just call us on the phone at 624-4675. Our numbers are there, our information are out there in the public space, and probably if you just Google us, you would find our information as well.
Awesome, Mr. Seepersad, this was incredibly insightful. I want to say thank you for taking your time and coming in last minute, to fill in and share your knowledge. And this was very impactful. So thank you so much. And I must say that I appreciate it. Right? Guys, with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's segment of Unique and Different. As I always say, until next week, be good. Be good. Bye, everyone.
Me too.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were